So this tank right here is a Dua System Aqua 30. And it's a little bit different than your normal Aquascape rimless tank, I guess. This one actually has a filtration compartment in the back where you can hide all your equipment. So it comes with a USB pump. It comes with some media as well, but it's basically just a black sponge. And then there's also a compartment where you could put a heater, for example. It's kind of similar to, you know, those all-in-one reef tanks, but they usually have black silicone and a black background. This one has a white background and clear silicone. Well, I quite like these tanks. So it's basically a 30 centimeter cube, but because of the filtration compartment, the actual front part of the tank is a little bit smaller. So I'll just quickly measure it. Front to back, it's 21 centimeters, which is about 8 inches. And then this is of course 30 centimeters or like 11.5 inch. And the height is the same, also 30 centimeters and 11.5 inch. The total volume of water is not that much. Probably too small for most fish, maybe a betta. I think I'm gonna keep shrimps in here. So I wanna keep it really simple for this one. I'm thinking of making a half circle with rocks, sand in the foreground, and then plant substrate in that half circle. Then plant just a bunch of colorful plants. Basically create like a bouquet almost. So I have a bunch of these really nice ADA Yamaya stones. So I'm gonna try to use these, create a half circle here, kind of stay away from the edges, so we can still have sand all the way in the foreground and on the sides as well. Let's see if we can do that. Here we go. I think this looks pretty good. Try to make it look as natural as possible, you know, like I didn't want to have a half a circle that looks placed and like the rocks were just perfectly placed there. It still looks a bit rough, but I like it. So of course there's a few gaps here and there in between the stones. I want to make sure that no aquasoil can start rolling forward and start mixing with the sand. So I'm going to cover those gaps with this filter floss. Basically just take a tiny piece of filter floss, stuff it in those gaps, and then hopefully we'll have a solid barrier. So I'm just going to take a tiny piece of filter floss and just kind of push it in there. Ideally go from the back, because then the aquasoil will push it further in, if that makes sense. Okay, most of the gaps closed. Yeah, some of the filter walls of course still visible. We're going to either cover that up with some sand, or I'm also thinking of adding a little bit of moss in between the gaps as well, and then the moss will kind of just grow over the rocks and also cover the filter wall. Now I actually just took down the previous layer that was in this tank, but I saved about a half a liter of the old Aquasoil. So this stuff is still full of beneficial bacteria, of course. So I'm going to use this as the base layer in the half circle, and hopefully by using this we can kind of kickstart the cycle. Well, hopefully we'll not get as much startup algae. Usually it works pretty well. So if you can use some old substrate, I always highly recommend it. So let's see if I can add this in without spilling. Yeah, I think that's enough Aquasoil actually. Don't need more than that. So just half a liter of old Aquasoil. I could add some root tabs if I wanted to, but I think, I mean, this Aquasoil is not that old yet, so I think we'll be okay. Then for the cosmetic sand, I have some ADA La Plata. I'm gonna put it in a small cup as well, so I can gently pour it in the foreground. See, that's looking pretty good already. I love the contrast of the Yamaya stones and the La Plata sand. I could add some, you know, some small gravels as well, but I think I'm just gonna keep it clean for this one. Now this was a bit of a spontaneous setup, so I actually didn't order any plants for this layout. I do have some tissue culture pots left over from previous projects. Some Ludwigia arcuata. This one is quite old already. It's been sitting in my window for, I would say, a couple of months already. Still looks quite okay though, so I'm gonna give it a go. Some Juncus repens as well, which is like a nice grassy stem plant. Some Java moss, Taxiphyllum barbiri, so that can be nice in between the rocks. And I have a new plant from the demo plant assortment, which is the Crypt spiralis red. It doesn't even have a label yet, that's because it's new. I'm gonna try this one as well, but that's not enough. When we only have 4 plants, I definitely want a bit more variety, a bit more color. So I'm gonna try to take some stem plants from my other tanks as well. So the cube is gonna go on the shelf right next to that one. Next to it I have a sort of like a plant holding tank. I'm gonna take this one down soon as well and just turn it into a proper aquascape. But for now we can use a bunch of those plants for this layout. So I have some really nice Rotala blood red. I have some type of orange Ludwigia as well, similar to the Arcuata but a bit different. And I have this one that's really cool. It's a Persicaria something. Got some pearlweed as well. I don't think I'll use pearlweed. And this is the new crypt, the Crypt Spiralis red. So I'm gonna take some of the stem plants from here, and that should be enough, I think. If it's not enough, we can always take some plants from here, the UNS60U. I'm gonna take this one down soon as well. I might take some Blixa, but I'm not sure. The Blixa does get quite big. This right here is also a type of Ludwigia, which grows really interesting. It kind of looks like a flower, but a bit too big as well. So I'm not going to use it in that tank. Take it out for now, so it's not in the way. Here we go. So we have the Rotala blood red. We have 2 bunches of that. The Persicaria, the Ludwigia Arcuata from the tissue culture. You can see that the bottom part is a bit brown. That's because it was such an old cup. But everything else still looks fresh and green, so I think it'll be okay. Juncus repens, Ludwigia something, the new Crypt Spiralis red, and the Java moss over there. I think that's enough. I mean, yeah, we have such a small planting area, so it should be enough. So I'm going to start with the Java moss, kind of just take tiny portions and just sort of like wedge them in between the rocks here. Eventually the Java moss will kind of attach itself to the rocks, which just looks very natural, you know, like it's been growing there for, you know, a very long time. Got quite a lot of filter wool visible here, so I'm just going to cover that up. Then everything else I kind of just want to plant randomly. So start one portion of the Juncus, then a few stems of the Rotala blood red, a couple stems of Ludwigia, Persicaria going in, the tissue culture Ludwigia Arcuata, a bit more towards the front, some on the side here as well. Then the Crypt Spiralis red. Here we go. That's all these stem plants in. So it might look a bit weird for the first couple of weeks, but once you start trimming it, we can also trim it into a cool shape, you know, like a bowl shape, for example. I think then it's going to look really good. I spilled 1 soil granule. How could I? So the tank is filled up, filters up and running, and I've just added some minerals back into the water. I'm using reverse osmosis water in all my tanks, and our O water doesn't have any minerals. In order to grow plants and healthy fish, we still want some calcium and some magnesium. So that's why I'm using the Cecum Equilibrium. I'm just measuring with the TDS pen. When I started it was 12, and ideally I want it to be 120. So I'm just adding some Cecum Equilibrium until I reach 120. And then we basically have the perfect water parameters in order to grow super lush, healthy plants. Then besides that, I'm also going to use the Cecum Stability. So these are basically just bottled beneficial bacteria. I'm going to add this every day for the first week, just to kind of, you know, get the cycle going, get all those beneficial bacteria in there. So just a little bit every day, and then we should be soon ready for some inhabitants. CO2 just started working as well. Off to a good start here. Alright, fast forward about a month later, still haven't managed to rescape this one. I don't really have any inspiration at the moment, so guys, let me know in the comments what I should do with this tank. But this one, on the other hand, has developed really well. I love how simple it is. You know, it was simple to make, it's simple to maintain, and I think it just looks really good. So overall, the past 4 weeks have been pretty smooth, but I did have a bit of a green dust algae outbreak at some point. I think it was after 2 weeks or so. So in this tank I had a bunch of ram's horn snails, so I moved some of them over, and they apparently work really well against green nest algae. So they just took care of the issue for me. And I would say right now the tank is pretty much algae free. So really happy with that. Besides the ramshorn snails, we have some really nice crystal red shrimp. I used to have them in the 55-liter river aquascape, but I kind of want to try to breed them. That would be nice, because they're just really beautiful, you know. So I think they just kind of deserve a tank on their own with no potential predators. We do have some fish in here. Funny story, I have these amazing live bearers, really beautiful platies in the shallow tank, and they started breeding. Of course, because they're live bearers. I think it's not very difficult to breed live bearers. But I mean, the babies just look really cute, so I thought let me just separate a few of them and move them in this tank. So right now they're way too small to prey on any potential crystal red babies. But if they get a lot bigger, I'll just move them back in with their parents. But for now, I think they just suit this tank really well. Yeah guys, I think that's it about this thing. Nothing else to talk about. Really happy with the end result. I think it's only going to get better. A few more trimming sessions and it will get even more dense, you know. So I'll make sure to do an update on this tank somehow in some kind of form. For now, this is it. Let me know in the comments what I should do with this tank. Guys, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.